Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Splash Recap. Today, we are recapping the entire month of October, all across the 4 different conferences. So, my name is Marty.
And I'm Kelton, and I'm glad to be back.
All right, so first things first, many of you may have seen on Instagram, there was an article posted about us by Laurier Athletics, and one name, unfortunately, was missed in our team. They've joined our team very, very recently. You may or may not have noticed on our Instagram, which is Uni Swim Canada, that's UNI Swim Canada, we've been able to offer some French language in our description, which is great. And that is all thanks to Tatiana Goyette. She is a Montreal Carbon alumni, U Sport qualifier. She's a fantastic, fantastic swimmer. She knows a lot about the RSEQ, and she knows French, which is something we were really lacking, and it's something I wanted to bring into the Instagram. All right, so to get started today, we are going from east to west. So we're starting with the AUS. The first meet of the year has finally happened in the AUS, which was hosted by Acadia, the Jack Schultz Invitational. So the main thing that I saw, personally, was, of course, Dow's dominant. Dalhousie, they doubled Acadia's points in the overall category, almost doubled Acadia's points in the women's category, and still had a very healthy lead in the men's category. Now, one thing I did want to point out that I was shocked by personally was how close some of these men and women's scores were for the teams. So specifically, the Acadia Axe men and Axe women, the women had 445 points, while the men had 444.5 points. University of New Brunswick Reds, the women had 153 points, while the men had 152. And that really shocked me, personally, because you don't see that very often with a men's team and a women's team being so similar in the score that they're able to achieve. And I think that really shows how balanced these teams are, and they're just kind of a dual threat. I think we see a lot in the OUA with a team having a fantastic men's team and a women's team that just isn't quite there yet. And I was personally really surprised to see the parity of the men and women's teams out there in the AUS. Kelton, I know that you personally looked into the meets. What did you find?
Well, with this meet in particular, when you mentioned Dalhousie's dominance, it doesn't surprise me when both their top male and female athlete had perfect scores. Reagan Crawwell and Logan Sparks both had 64 points, which was the highest amount of points they could get. They both won 4 individual events with exceptional times. Logan Sparks in his 200 free won a 154.56 to win it, and Reagan Crawwell won her 800 free with a time of 8:58.83. These were 2 events that I thought were very good at the time. But not only that, there were 2 other swimmers at this meet who both scored perfect scores as well. From Acadia, Sophie Ronnie had 64 points as well. She won 4 races, and the event that I thought was most surprising was her 50 fly, where she went at 27.3, which is an amazing time. And from the Memorial University Seahawks, Chris Weeks won 4 races as well, winning the 100 free with a time of 50.1, which was a stellar time to achieve at this point in the season.
Yeah, October, that's crazy fast. I wish. I wish I was there personally. Hopefully one day. All right. Now we're going to move on to the RSEQ. So for Cup number 1 and Cup number 2, we may as well group them together. Personally, what I noticed the most was obviously McGill's dominance. McGill won the men and women's score at both of them, plus the overall scores, by a very, very healthy margin. I personally was surprised by U Ottawa's men. I have some friends at the University of Ottawa, and they had kind of said that they were surprised by their 3rd place finish last year, and it was kind of a make or break year for them. I was hoping to see them a little bit closer to McGill. But hey, that's the sport. Sometimes you have big graduating class and stuff happens. But overall, McGill is extremely impressive. Are the top 3 teams in the RSEQ on lock? Currently, the top 3 teams at both of those meets were McGill, Ottawa, and Laval in that order. And so my question is, can anyone challenge them? Can Montreal get a couple more points, push past Laval? Or will those 3 stay as the top 3 contenders in that conference? Only time will tell. Kelton, what did you find from Cup 1 and Cup 2?
I mean, only to further emphasize the dominance that McGill has. They had the best male and female athlete of both Cup 1 and Cup 2, and the best performance from both Cup 1 and Cup 2. So in Cup 1, Hassam Izzah won 3 golds and 1 bronze in Cup 1, and Elizabeth Ling won 3 gold and 1 silver. With the best performance of this meet, Naomi Lau from McGill won the 400 free with a time of 4:20.22, which is an exceptional time at this point of the year, and Mats Berdat from McGill as well won the 400 free with a time of 3:56. In Cup 2, once again, Hassam Izzah was the number 1 athlete for men. He won 3 gold and 1 silver. On the women's side, we had a tie between Natasha Frost and Elizabeth Ling, both winning 3 golds and 1 silver. All 3 athletes from McGill. And with the best performance, Elizabeth Ling won the 100 breast with a time of 1:10, and Malachi B won the 200 free with a time of 1:51.2, also from McGill. These times that they're accomplishing at this point in the season are outstanding, and I'm excited to see what they can do in the coming months.
Yeah, I'm noticing that trend too of just the top contenders of every conference are already going so fast right now. Again, for anyone who doesn't know U Sport swimming, typically, not always the case, but typically your team trains the hardest from September till February. Most teams will keep going till the end of the school year and in April, but some swimmers will take 4 months off, which of course, if you want to stay competitive, you can't do that, but it's an option for you. So for you to come back in and be racing this fast in October is crazy. Another thing that I want to mention before we leave the RSEQ, I have had some of you DMing Uniswim Canada, which has been wonderful, asking where the rookie ranking is. Every other conference has their rookie ranking posted. Where is the RSEQs? It is still in progress. These things take a long time to do and to make, and especially the RSEQ has a ton of recruits. So it's a lot of work to do. It will be out before the new year. All right, next up, we are moving to the OUA. So the first meet that I want to mention is the Ottawa Tri-Meet. This meet, ton of fun. Ottawa, Carleton, Waterloo going head-to-head. Last year, University of Ottawa dominated the meet. And in the end of the year, they ended up getting 3rd place overall at U Sports. So had a fantastic year last year. University of Ottawa did win the overall score. Their women's team won. The men's team, it was close. It was a very, very close competition. But the University of Waterloo was able to beat the University of Ottawa for the men's score, 211 to 185. So I was very surprised by that. I think it's a great sign for the Warriors team this year. Some of you may have seen our Division 1 predictions for the OUA have gone live on Instagram at Uniswim And I personally, and so did Kelton, we put University of Waterloo underneath Western. I think they may have a shot to challenge. Will they pass Western at divisionals? Well, only time's going to tell, and we will find that out by the end of November. Kelton, what did you find about this meet?
At this meet, on the women's side, from University of Ottawa, Vanessa Thibarge won 25 points, winning 2 of her events and getting second in another one. Her best race would most likely have been the 200 IM, where she went a 2:24.2 to win it. And on the men's side, from UW, we have Lucas Warmold getting a perfect score, 36 points. He won all 4 of his races, with his best race being his 50 free, where he went 23:09. And with what Marty was talking about, how we both put UW behind Western, UW still has some exceptional swimmers, such as Lucas Warmold, and they have a swimmer competing at Pan Ams right now, and we've yet to see him swim, and I'm excited to see what that swimmer will do at Divs.
Yeah, Kevin Zhang, he's something special. University of Waterloo is very lucky to have picked him up. That's awesome for them. Okay, next up, we have the OUA Sprint Invitational. This meet is all over the place. Absolutely all over the place. So first off, let's start with the women's score. Guelph won. I don't think anyone expected Guelph's women to not win this meet. To not win this meet. I personally was surprised that Brock was only slightly behind them, and that Queens was only slightly behind them. And Laurier really wasn't that far off from Queens. It was far enough from Guelph, though. Then we go to the men's side, and Laurier won. And Brock was fairly close behind, but it was a pretty decisive victory, which I think shows that Brock won is strong, since they won the overall score. They got second in women, second in men. Brock is a strong team, coming back and challenging year after year. They're on the up and up. Laurier, their men are competitive again. This is probably one of the best Laurier teams that we've seen in a long time. And specifically Laurier's women, they may have came fourth in that meet, but almost every other team had a full roster. When Laurier's women's team is not full, and it has not been full for a number of years now. So we are going to see over the next couple of years what Laurier can do with the men and the women's team that they've built, and if they're going to continue to keep building on that success. Same thing with Brock. They have been building up and up and up, and we are fortunate to get to see them keep building and see how high they can reach. Kelton, what did you find about that meet?
Well, it makes sense when you say University of Guelph women's team won when they had the best female athlete. Ali Bertram had 43 points, winning the 50 fly, coming 7th in the 50 back and 8th in the 100 IM. That's after swimming those races 3 times. And on the men's side, we had Kent Goni-Avila from Laurier with 44 points. He may not have won an event, however, he was very consistent in all 3 of his races, coming 3rd in the 100 IM, 6th in the 50 free, and 4th in the 50 fly.
And Kelton brought up that really good point of having to swim 3 times. The OUA Sprint Meet is a very unique competition, as you have a prelim session where everyone from every team swims, races. Then your top athletes go on to a semifinal session after a very short break. And then you all race, you all swim again. And then after another very short break, your top 8 race again. And those top 8 are who scores points. So it's a tough meet. It's very tough mentally and physically. Next up, we're going to the Badger Invitational at Brock. It was all McMaster. It was all the McMaster Marauders. They absolutely dominated the meet. The overall score for McMaster was 1,835 points and a half. Second place was the Brock Badgers at 992 in the overall score. McMaster dominated. I think that this shows how strong this McMaster's team is this year and how divisionals may go in Division 2. Since McMaster, they were at the bottom of Division 1 last year, so they are going to race all these teams again, except Guelph, in Division 2. Another thing I want to point out is on the women's side at the Brock Invitational, the Queen's Gales got the second place, beating Guelph narrowly, but still beating Guelph. Queens has a strong women's team this year. The OUA Sprint Meet didn't show Queen's strengths as much as this meet did. Because the Badger Invitational, it's not just sprints, it's a little bit of everything. And so Queens clearly has built up a fantastic women's team this year. On the men's side, McMaster won. Brock got second. And Laurier wasn't that far behind in third, beating Guelph and Queens 2 meets in a row. I think those 2 teams are going to be neck and neck all year. Those 2 men's teams seem very comparable. They seem to always be side by side. Who's going to come out on top by divisionals, by OUAs? Who knows? Only time will tell. Kelton, what did you find?
Well, Mac dominated the meet, as you said, and it only makes sense with their athletes. They had 2 female athletes that tied for the highest score. Shanna Walker-De Jong had 57 points, and Michelle Wang had 57 points as well. They both won 2 races. Shanna went a 58-2 in the 100 free, and Michelle Wang went a 29-9 in the 50 back. And that was just one race from each of them. On the men's side, from McMaster as well, Cameron Johnson also received 57 points, winning the 100 breaststroke with a time of 1:02.5, and also winning the 200 breast with a time of 2:19. An honorable mention from the University of Guelph was Marcus Selva, who got 40 points. Yes, he received a lot less points than Cameron. However, he won both of his races. He won the 100 free and the 50 free. So who knows if he would have won more events and got more points. Another honorable mention would be Daniel Robignoli from Laurier. He had an exceptional meet, winning the 50 fly and coming second in the 100 freestyle with very good times at this point in the season.
All right, and our last meet of the OUA, kind of the elephant in the room as we talk about Laurier and Waterloo. They had their annual Battle of Waterloo on Halloween night. Super fun meet, everyone gets dressed up, it's a good time. Waterloo, of course, dominated the meet on the women and men's side. And I think it just highlights how strong this Waterloo team is. They were able to defeat Laurier pretty handily. Kelton, do you have anything to say about that meet?
Yeah, UW was just dominating the meet. They really put on a show, and Laurier was just not ready to face them at that point. On the women's side, Megan Frost had the highest points. She won 3 events, the 200 back, 200 IM, and 200 free. And on the men's side, they had 3 athletes who tied for the highest amount of points. Finn Duncan Schobel, Samuel Pai, and Lucas Warmold all tied. They all won different events, the 200 back, the 50 breast, 200 free, 50 fly, 100 fly. UW won most of the events at this meet, which explains why they were so far ahead in the scoring.
And a little reminder about these two teams. The University of Waterloo is in the higher division at divisionals, while Laurier is in Division 2. So these two teams will not be facing each other at divisionals. They're in their own different categories. So they won't really meet again until, I believe, the Brock Invitational later in the year, and then, of course, at OUA's itself. All right, now we're heading to the Canada West. 2 of the meets that happened in the Canada West were both club meets, so we are not going to go into much detail here, but they're worth mentioning that the University of Manitoba, we saw them in the water for the first time at the St. James Seal Meet, and we saw the University of Regina in the Saskatoon Goldfins Invitational. Both teams had some swimmers throw down some fantastic times for October, and we're glad to see them in the water and glad to see what they got. And the big one of the Canada West was the Dino Cup. So the Dino Cup saw the UBC Thunderbirds, who are the defending men's U-Sport champions, the Calgary Dinos, who are the defending champions of Canada West, and the University of Lethbridge Longhorns all go head to head. So UBC got the overall win. Started off the year really, really strong for them. They're looking fantastic. Calgary Dinos, not far behind though. Those two teams have been fighting back and forth to be the top of the Canada West for a couple of years now, and that seems to be continuing again this year. University of Lethbridge, not far behind either. In the women's scores, I was extremely shocked by this. Was UBC Thunderbirds. They came second place in U Sports last year. And their women got 153.5 points. Calgary Dinos women got 153 points. Just 0.5 behind. That's a very, very close score. That's a very, very tight meet. They were back and forth for quite a while. Really interesting to see UBC barely get the win, though. Calgary Dinos are probably feeling very happy with where they are at. If they could catch up to UBC, maybe take second place in the women's this year, maybe beat Toronto, go to first, only time will tell. On the men's side, not quite as close, still a close meet, but not quite as close as the women's scores. UBC's men got 147.5. University of Calgary got 122 points, while University of Lethbridge not far behind at 84.5. All good scores, all reasonably close to each other, and I think it's a great start to their season. Kelton, what do you got?
Well, from this meet, we had 2 perfect scores. From the UBC, Si Loon Ho scored 24 points, winning the 100 fly, 50 fly, 100 free, and 50 free. Great times. In his 100 fly, he went a 54.3. 50 fly was a 24.4. And on the women's side, University of Calgary, Alexandrie Lepage scored 24 points as well, winning 4 events. She won the 200 breast, 200 IM, 400 IM, and 100 breast. Her 100 breast time was a 107.9, and her 200 breast was 226. these times are amazing at this point of the season, and it's really cool to see what Canadian swimming has become and to see these athletes accomplish this at so early on in the season. I'm excited to see what these athletes are going to be able to do later on in the season.
I completely agree. This is October. Typically, you just get better and better and better. Canada West is a little bit different than everyone else because their final championship is in November. So I find that they swim really, really fast in November, but a lot of the athletes have not peaked, and then they really come into it at U Sport if you qualify. So we're going to see them all again. We're going to see them all at Canada West coming in just a couple weeks now, and we're going to see them all at U Sport later on this year. And I am very excited to see it all. If you would like to not have to wait an entire month to find out about all the meets happening in U Sport swimming, follow us on Instagram at UniSwimCanada. That's UNI Swim Canada. My name is Marty.
My name is Kelton.
We hope you enjoyed. Have a great one. Goodbye.